Alright guys, so a question came across on the Patreon page from one of my patrons that basically it had to do with would I introduce a weapon into the fight without having control over the individual first? And we have to understand that the short answer to that is yes. You always want to maintain control before you introduce a weapon into the fight. However, the situation is going to dictate whether or not that is actually going to unfold that way. Remember, no plan survives first contact. So ideally, yes, I want to wait until I have control before I introduce a weapon into the fight. However, we also want to look at this from another scenario. The video that was actually being shot was being shot based on retention, and therefore in order to actually flush out retention, in order to be able to actually test it in force on force, to test some of the techniques, it necessitates my opponent knowing that the weapon is there so that he has something to fight over. Otherwise, it's really not retention, then it's just grappling. However, we also want to look at different situations, like maybe multiple attackers are coming into the fight. It may be a situation where I had control over the individual and I went to access my pistol and then I lost it, and now I'm in a situation where I'm fighting for retention over my pistol. Another situation might be the fact that this guy introduced the pistol into the fight and I took it from him, and now we're both grappling over the pistol. So my rule of thumb is always train for worst case scenario. There's a reason why we practice mount escapes. No, you should never be in a situation where somebody is mounting you. That's never a good place to be. But we practice the escape because there is a chance that at some point somebody is going to put me in the mount and I need to know how to get out. The same thing with retention. Ideally, I never want to introduce a weapon into the fight until I have control over the individual, but situation's going to dictate, and I am not going to be able to control all the variables around me. All right, this is a dynamic environment. It's a fight. He's using his own mind and logic and game plan to devise what he's going to do. I'm doing the same, and basically what's going to end up happening is what's going to happen. So from a grappling standpoint, I just want to give you just a quick position maybe that you can utilize. So what I'm doing right now is I've got an airsoft pistol that has gas in it but no BBs, and the reason that I want to do this is so that the slide actually reciprocates, and in the event that the slide is fouled in the middle of a fight, I will know, and that is going to cause me to actually undertake like an immediate action drill, tap, rack, bang, something like that to get the gun back into the fight. So this is something that I utilize as a tool as opposed to a blue gun. A blue gun is fine when you're just starting out and you're doing disarms, but once you're actually getting in there and doing some force on force and grappling over a weapon, I recommend this, or even putting on headgear and things like that, and using an actual loaded magazine to shoot your opponent. So for right now, we're just going to practice position. So what I'm going to do is, we're in a situation where I'm carrying appendix, and this guy has knocked me to the ground. My BJJ background, I went to guard. This guy's coming down on me, and he's whatever. He's going to start throwing punches or whatever. So ideally, yes, what I want to do is, if my draw hand is on my right side, if this is my primary hand, ideally I want to get out to that side. So what I'm going to do is I'm either going to grab behind the head and under the arm, or I will grab in front of the head here to where I interlock the shoulder. Either way is fine, but if you want to avoid biting, at least biting vital areas, I would recommend hand in front of the face, goes behind the shoulder, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull him into me, pulling with my legs as well as with my arms. So I'm going to pull in here. Once I get this here, I'm going to hip out. I'll keep that arm trapped, and now from here I can access and put rounds in him, and you'll notice I don't have background issues as far as me shooting myself or anything like that. So one more time, I'm in here. I'll give you the other variation is that I come in here, I grab that head, I pull him up. From here I'll come over and hip out, and now I'll switch my hand. This comes over, I clear my garment, single hand clear, access the pistol to retention, and I put rounds into him. So this is one technique that you can do to actually gain control over him. Again, like I said, you're not going to be able to control all variables. A fight is just that. It's a fight. It's dynamic. He's going to be working against me. I'm going to be working against him. So sometimes what we're going to do is we're going to practice different situations that may not be the most ideal circumstances for me, but they allow me to practice things that I would not otherwise have the opportunity to do. You guys think about that. Train hard.